The stage is yours.
Okay, like this. Thanks. I will also continue in English because I think it makes sense. I wish I would speak a few words in Macedonian. I only know Fala and Dobrodošli. So Dobrodošli. It's my honor to be here. I think I visited this place first time when you had the Dali exhibition here. So I'm somehow honored to have reached a point where even my thoughts can be preserved and articulated in such a way that they can even find a way to be even displayed in such a great place like the Museum of Contemporary Art of Skopje. But before I forget, I would really like to thank everyone who was included in the making of this. Maybe looking too minimal, but in my sense, without the help of the technical team and the curatorial team and Mira and Jovanka and everyone included in this, it would never happen. But before I also forget, I'm very happy that I will tell a very short story. I started my career applying to art prizes. I never won art prizes. I lost everyone in my life. And this is the first and probably the last prize I won because I'm not a young artist anymore. I'm over 35, meaning I can't even apply, even if I want. So thank you for this last opportunity to win an award. And what to say? We were fearing if we would do a retrospective because I wish I would have a retrospective, but I think it's a doppelschlag. It's a double hit because I'm too young to have retrospective, but I would love to call this. I love the album of Dua Lipa. The title is Future Nostalgia. I think this is a future retrospective. So I would like to call this exhibition like that. And we also thought that we can do a short artist tour. Maybe we just continue, we can just begin. It's something which I saw for the first time here in the Museum of Contemporary Art in Skopje a few months ago by a very respected artist, Ahmet Oyuk. And I thought, why not? Let me just give you a brief idea of why I make a traffic sign fly and why I collect bags from the street and I frame them. And why I think a knife is important to be displayed. And also, I also discovered an old photograph of my grandfather visiting my uncle after the earthquake in Skopje. And I thought it's important to include that in the exhibition, so I can talk to that a bit later, but we can continue with that. And once more, thanks for everybody who's here. It really says a lot to me. And it's something which it might seem that I don't look each one of you in the eyes, but I have a great memory. So thanks for being here. It gives me a lot of strength and energy to continue doing what I do with the little help of even my children, because the drawings were made by Hera, my daughter, and I use a lot of very deep, intimate situations to try to transcribe them into something known as artworks. So, to I tell. We just move. Anyone who wants to join, we can just. I try to make sense because it might seem that it's complicated. And why you see so many videos is that I'm very bad at everything, and then I try to use painters. I try to use my dad and his scientific knowledge to do this artworks. And sometimes, because my dad is a scientist, I try to even challenge gravity. And challenging gravity is this piece. I did this in 2012, and it's something very important because I did that only after I left Kosovo. I went to study in the UK, and this is a very important thing. I thought everybody knows where I'm from. I thought Kosovo is a very big country. But then it was not. And it took me 5 minutes to understand or even to introduce myself to other people because I had to say, Albanian from Kosovo, and Kosovo is not Serbia. I declared independence, and yes, it's a country and this and that. But then I was like researching, who am I? What is my cultural identity? And I thought, well, can I be a Kosovan and an Albanian at the same time? Can I literally hold these two things at the same time? And then I went to Kosovo-Albanian border, and I went to this bridge which was in no man's land, connecting the two countries, and I tried for 1 second to hold the two watermelons, because in Albanian the saying is related to the idea that you can't do two things at the same time. And I tried it, I think it functioned. And another very interesting thing is that this work traveled 2 times more than I can travel with my passport. And here you can also digest the idea that somehow art and the language in this place, somehow it's very important and also very strong. Because you travel to places where literally I can't travel with my current passport. So that was, I think it's one of the earliest pieces. And we can continue. Maybe I can speak a bit about the tags, the love letters, which are on the right. I was pushing Vladimir not to include these in the exhibition because we have now Manifesta in Pristina and I displayed 23 of the tags. But Vladimir was eager because he found a great dialogue, connection, and statements which probably are related even to the Macedonian geography and also to the Macedonian position. And I will briefly tell you how I started this. I got married. I got married, and after I got married, my wife was texting me shopping lists, and I was a bit frustrated because I was thinking, I was questioning the idea of where love has gone. And one day I thought maybe I preserved her SMSs on the authentic bags I get from the supermarkets. This means I archive my very intimate life into a stupid thing, which is included in my life by a thing called capitalism, because she was texting me all this, grocery shop list. But then now it's not her, it's called love letters because of her, but the idea is that something else happened with my life. I started to use text and include text in my work practice. And then I found myself also waking up at night time and also writing things down. So I even started to confess myself to myself. And sometimes it's very, very intimate, sometimes very political. Because I thought, let's use this stupidity in order to make sense, in order to convey messages. But I never thought I will exhibit them like this, but it happened with the process. And now probably my biggest archive of works is the plastic bags, which were also now in Manifesta. And now people are calling me the plastic bag guy, but it's fine because WhatsApp was the watermelon guy. So I wish we could all jump into to see a video, but I can only tell you a few words and then you individually can get in. I heard so many fascinating stories around my family and my village and the previous life of people around me that somehow I see images without being there. I mean, this happened in 1969, and when my dad told me that electricity reached my village on that year, I was fascinated. Because I want to emphasize the idea that I come from an illiterate family. My granddad was illiterate. And it was only my parents who got basic and also superior education. But before that, we were like living, actually like the narration in the video is saying, how horses in one side and chicken in one side. I will be short because I think I'm taking too much time. I found out that this electricity which was being installed by the Yugoslavian government at that time came like colliding the event of the moon landing of the American government in in the mood. So what I did, together with a famous jazz musician from Kosovo, I got permission to use the footage of the NASA moon landing from NASA itself because it's on public domain, and I only cut Neil Armstrong's voice, and I inputted an interview I did with my cousin telling how life was in Kosovo back then. And Ilya made it this way, so it seems like he's speaking to the Houston base. So he speaks about chicken, Houston speaks about opening the door and putting the flag in the moon. And the video is called These Stories because my cousin, who speaks English because he had to flee Kosovo and work in Germany for 30 years because of no electricity, he says, we don't believe this because we were far away from these stories. And the piece is called These Stories because there are two colliding stories. And this is a work I produced last year. I had a show at Museum of Contemporary Art in Podgorica in Montenegro. And again, it was an image I saw before entering the elevator of my apartment, because sometimes two hands are not enough. Being an artist, a father, and taking plastic bags to the flag. And sometimes I feel like, what is this momentum we're living as new parents, as new dads? Are two hands enough? I say no. And then I had the wish to have four hands, to mutate into a new capitalist Homo sapiens. And I said, let me do this. And I did this with a friend from Pristina who was very good at tailoring suits for men. So if you have a marriage close, invite me, I can give you his number. So the piece is called Hopes and Fears. Because I think all of us live in this momentum of having a lot of hopes, but also having fears, because fear of forgetting is very strange and it's very present. And sometimes I want to preserve that into objects, sculptures. And most of the time I work with other people because I feel like they are more professional than I. So that's also the case with the other works. This is a work from 2018. I think this is one of the last 9 years. Kosovo is present. He produces this archives. And in our work, it's probably only our myself. I wish I was able to allow you, but this is what I do with transfer myself into an object. So it is nice, and it's very simple. It has a lot of erasing on that. Because sometimes I usually go to cut situations which I don't like, and sometimes there are certain situations which, especially being a Kosovo, you can impose in things that you don't like, and you can't do nothing except maybe just close your eyes. But I think I'm a groundhog. I want to solve, and I want to cut these scenes. And to speak theoretical language, there is a theory by radical language I really like. This fundamental effect, where you cut down the scene and take a break, and you put something completely new. Something I want to do that, but then I might be back. I have a razor like that. So that's I had a different story about this today, but I was having a chat with one of the technicians. I won't say his name, but he asked me, what is this? And I said, it's a politician from the region. And I said, check the map. And he checked the map. He said, is it a politician from Albania? I said, no. But I will tell you a bit of the story. A friend of mine, a journalist, she used to work for the Washington Post. She interviewed a politician from the region and posted this photograph on Facebook, interviewing him. And immediately after I saw a man of one politician over a man, maybe I just get rid of them.
Yeah.
Okay, I can scream. My friend, the journalist, was interviewing a politician from the Balkans, and I was frightened when I saw his face over a map, because literally his hand was over the map, maybe of where my flat is. And anytime I see Balkan politicians' hands over maps, I don't like it. And what I did, I took the whole Facebook photo, I cut it, so you can only trace the hand, and the piece is called Sinister Hand. And my friend, the technician, asked me, who is he? I said, you find it out. He asked me questions, and I think he got it, but you have to get it as well. So I can only tell you a sinister hand. And this is the Balkan map. And because I'm not a painter, I decided to lay it down. Otherwise, if I had put it here, I would probably emphasize the idea that look at me. But no, it's here. So this was originally commissioned by Lombardi Cinema in Prizren, and I can also say a few words about the Lombardi Cinema. There are people here who know more than I do know about Lombardi Cinema, but Lombardi is a great example of civic activism, of protecting and saving a very important cultural hub of not just the city, but maybe also to a broader audience, which is Kosovo itself. And the commission of Lombardi was to produce a piece, and this was originally installed in the roof of Lombardi Cinema. And after 4 weeks of having the piece there, we went into a fight with the municipality of Prizren because they classified this as advertisement. And it was in the historical part of Prizren. And then we had to take it down, and I feel, still to this day, I feel bad because the lease, the rent was for 1 year, but Ares, the director, contacted me, so probably after it finished being exhibited here, it will go in Prizren. But the pieces that I feel like I belong in a country, politically speaking, that even my deep desires very often are landlocked. I feel like I cannot dream enough. I think even God or the gods somehow suspended us for. Because I think having a seaside, it's a Rothko painting, and you can speak to that artwork. And I feel like you can have a momentum with yourself by having nothing in front of you. And in Kosovo, I wish we had that. And I thought, let's give it there. But then I made a rule. This piece will only be exhibited in landlocked countries. So that's why I brought it to Macedonia. And I don't know next, except Prizren, but it's something which I feel very often being part of Kosovo, actually. I found this piece very late, like 3 months ago, and I was fascinated because it's the first photograph I see of my grandfather. But there are more aspects to it. I found that my grandfather was visiting my wounded uncle because he was working for Granite in Skopje when the earthquake happened. And I didn't know nothing. If somebody showed me this photo now and tell me this is my uncle, I could not believe it. Because what happened after is very important to me. He was the only employed man in my big family back then. So earthquake happened, and from that year he went to live in Hamburg in Germany, and he never came back. Literally, he died in Germany 3 years ago. And I found another aspect. The photograph was photographed by a professional photographer. But the hidden thing is that my granddad had nothing except a watermelon to give to him. So So you see here a Japanese watermelon as a priceless gift he gave to him in the hospital. And I found that something very subtle and very sincere. But the other aspect is that after the earthquake, my uncle emigrated in Germany, but immediately two things happened. He got injured and he was a invalid of working, being unable to work, and also my whole family was broken by the chain of earning money. That's why I call it Doppelschlag. In German it means double hit, because my uncle was hit from a natural disaster, but also economically speaking, immediately my grandfather had to think of sending him somewhere to earn more money because they were poor. And I thought this is important to show it to the Skopje audience, because it is very, in many layers, it is related to the Skopje history and also to the history of my family, because originally I am from Kashanik, which is very close. So until 3 years ago, Skopje was seen more closer than Pristina, and now we have a highway. Just build the highway, Skopje is again closer than Pristina for my family. And the last piece, can I also do that? And the last piece is also a digestion of the title of the exhibition. I think it's more visible during the day, because the whole idea behind the work is to make the clouds move, because the dogs are barking all the time. And I got inspired by a poem written by Charles Baudelaire. But who would have thought that I would be such into poetry? But I will tell you also this other secret. One of my best friends, and my cousin as well, with whom I grew up, Driton Selmani, some of you might know him, is a poet, a very good poet. And I started to write the love letters down, and one night I called him, I said, Shputim, I'm writing things down. He said, you're a poet as well. That was the legitimate moment of understanding the power of using words to convey images, or to produce images which I see. I saw an image on the poem of Charles Baudelaire, and I think it's relevant, because I think we are living on a time period where the roles of the barking dogs are very much merged with the roles of the weather forecast. And I think it's the way we are living is very not natural to the nature of ourselves. But if you don't mind, I will maybe just read the poem, because I think it makes sense to this. So the poem is called The Stranger. Whom do you love the best, enigmatic man? Tell me, your father, your mother, your sister, or your brother? I have neither friends, nor mother, nor sister, nor brother. Your friends? You use a word that those sense leaves me clueless to this day. Your country then? I don't even know which latitude it resides in. Beauty? Beauty, capital B? I will love her willingly. Were she a goddess and immortal? Go. I hate it as much as you hate God. Well, what do you love, extraordinary stranger? I love the clouds that pass comme ci comme ça, above and beyond, the marvelous clouds. So I thought the clouds should change, the dogs, let them bark all the time. And then I found they were fixing the roof. I found the workers, they threw these glasses down, and I thought maybe it goes with the clouds which are barking up, and it makes you maybe look up. So that's why we left. It's a specific intervention in this pond here,
And to maybe to finalize, we have the destiny falling in our forehead up there. And one of the friends asked me now, what does Kismet mean to you? Is it fate or fortune? I said, I'm married. It's a life thread. And the last piece is in the entrance of the museum, the blackboard, which I produced during the pandemic with my daughter because she was 3.5 and she couldn't say rain, and she was singing, pain, pain, go away, come again another day. I said, this is it. This is weather forecast of what we are wishing to. And I did it on a used blackboard with non-erasable paint because I think some lessons, even from our children, have to be eternal. So, thanks again. And very nice. I even brought my favorite dictation.